say, hey, it's a brand new day. Time for Ask a Traffic Cop, it's time to play. Got the questions flowing, the answers knowing. Traffic law and safety, we keep going. Great White North with a friendly glow. Ask us anything about the rules of the road. From stopping at a stop sign to merging with grace. We're here to educate, make your commuter safe. Traffic Cop will answer with care. From Halifax to Vancouver, coast to coast. We're here to keep you safe. When the darkness...
Oh, that was the wrong button. Hey, everybody. How's it going? Whoops. I tried to, I hit shuffle instead of play only once. I didn't want to go to Wednesday's song. Oh, well, there it is. Live on air. Oopsie dude. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service. I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff every single day, even when I'm not at work. It's a thing. I hope you're doing well. I hope Tuesday's treating you right. For some of you, it's payday. Those are always nice days, aren't they? If you're watching, you're likely watching on one of these magical channels because we're on YouTube and TikTok and Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Kick, and of course, Twitter, which is now called X. And you can communicate with us on pretty much all of those. We do a pretty good job. And hopefully, I did see a response from Restream, but I haven't read it yet because we've been having problems this week. It didn't work. We don't know why. Still don't know why. But we're working on it. Hopefully we'll have a better connection. But if you're watching on whatever channel you're watching on, please like, subscribe, share. Sharing's a big thing. If you share with people, if you tell people that you like what you're seeing, it goes a long way. It's an endorsement of sorts. We need that kind of thing. We need more people to know this stuff and things that we talk about so they don't get hurt, so they don't get tickets for breaking laws they didn't even understand and didn't know they existed, that type of thing. If you don't have time to watch us live, and you'd like to catch us on the go because you're behind the wheel for hours at a time, know that you can get us as a podcast. These episodes are downloaded and then broadcast or uploaded to Spotify, which then shares them across platforms like Apple Podcasts, iHeart Podcasts, of course, Spotify. Spotify lets you do it by video too, but don't do that when you're driving because that's illegal. Screen visible to driver, not okay. But listening to the audio only, well, that is okay. And that's the way that we'd like you to play because it's the best option. Oh, yeah. What's going on? How is your night? What's new in your life? Tell us what's going on. And I see that as of this moment, we have TikTok connected in the chat. Awesome. Awesome. So happy that when that works, changes my whole world. That's right. Also, for the folks on X, know that you can ask questions too. Make sure that you go into the chat when you're in the chat, not just looking at the video, but actually click into it. You can actually type into the chat, which goes into our little convo. Yeah. I will do the live example right now where I go into my Twitter and I have to click in here and then there's a box that shows up. Hello, all. And when I do that, the magic of the internet kicks in and I can actually put your question or your comment. Oh, hey, Vehicle Valley. I meant to do that to my own on X. See, it even says X. I know where it came from. But hey, Vehicle Valley, what's going on? It says, good morning, Mr. Shapiro. How are you today? I am fantastic. I don't know if it's because I've been getting better sleep. And if I was Ben Shapiro instead of Sean Shapiro, I'd be talking about a mattress that I endorse. I don't endorse any mattress. I just try to go to bed on time. That's my goal for better sleep. Anyway, I'm having too much fun. It's my own little entertainment show here. Tian says, good morning, everybody. Tweep says hello. Akela comes in with greetings and salutations, but can't watch the show because he's in meetings. What this magical man from Happy Land does is after the show is over, he'll come back and replay it at double speed. If he can catch it before while we're still on the air, he'll jump in. But he did you know you can watch things at double speed on YouTube? Like I listen to my audiobooks at 1.5 times. That's how I get so much reading. Can you call it reading? Apparently it's still reading. I consume a lot of content by way of listening to things at high speed. Because I can process that information. I don't need to listen to someone's slow and steady cadence in order to understand them. Speaking of which, should I speak slower for you? I've had a number of comments asking me to slow down because they can't keep up with my pace. I speak too quickly. And I do have a tendency to speak quickly. I have a lot to say and not a lot of time. So is faster better or slow? I think this is annoyingly slow, but that's just me. And of course, I'm here for you, so let me know, and I'll try and do it. Tim Shallow says, good morning, Sean, and everyone who's listening. Tweep says, it responds. Oh, by the way, Tweep is responding to Kayla, not to me. But if you do want to ask a question, it really helps if you put the letter Q before it, so I know that it's a question to me and not just banter amongst yourselves. Okay, we got a quote of the day that is not a yogi quote because I think that was the last one yesterday. This one's Cicero. Excellent. I'm looking at new sources of information. Jordan says, "Good morning, Sean. Good morning to you." We've got Julie Massey, who says, "Good morning to all. Greetings from Michael," who follows to say, "Good morning, good constable." That's an inside joke because I keep calling Sergeant the good sergeant. That's Sergeant Campbell. Northern Pike says, "Good morning," and a full-on thumbs up there. Doesn't go halfway. Jordan's got a dad joke. Two dad jokes. We'll flag those for later. Good morning, Sean, and good morning, or hi, everybody from Paul. Hello, hello. Tweep says, "We're live." It's true, we are. Now we have I think this is our first comment from TikTok, which is awesome. Hello, and a comment saying P. Diddy is on the run. Okay. Tweep says, "X will always be Twitter to me." Yeah, I get it. I can't manage. I don't know. He had the domain name. I guess he had to use it. He had that domain name was registered a long, long time ago. And in terms of being short and sweet, I appreciate the one-letterness. Carrie says, "I'm sick with worry and have a question. Pick me." Okay, Carrie, what's your question? She went on to say, "Please." Okay, what's your question? Stephen Bella says, "Good morning, Sean." And Dale Payne says, "Life is good," which is awesome. I'm so glad to hear it. We got questions that have started to come in from Amir Salar. Has a question about license plates. We'll talk about that in a second. And moving on to flag a bunch of stuff. Oh, interesting. Some people want to go faster. We'll talk about that. Noah wants to know, can you say hi, Noah? Hi, Noah. Okay. Let's see here. Tweep says 1.5 times speed is normal after a while. Yeah, I can't listen to my audiobooks slower. It's like, yeah, no, can't do it. What is this? Questions about insurance and driving a family member's car. Cool. What are we talking about here? Kathy says, "Good morning." Carrie finally comes in with the question. We will come back to that in a moment. Billy says he's doing good. Sorry says, "Good morning from Wisconsin." Good morning, Wisconsin. How are you doing, and how is the weather? That's the big question. I always want to know how the weather is. Is it better or worse than we have here? Should I feel good or bad about your weather? Because we had awesome weather for a couple of weeks, and then miserable, snowy spring kickoff. Yeah. Angie says, "Buongiorno." Buongiorno. Now, I was going to try and use some Italian, but I'm going to skip that because I'm going to make a mess of it because I haven't spoken Italian in a long time. I'm not Italian, but I spent enough time in Italy that I picked up a little bit to be able to get around in the markets. Quando costo, anyway. Billy says, "Good morning, Christopher." I'm assuming it's Graha or Graham without the rest letters, who says, "Morning, Sean." Good morning to you. We have a question about G2 drivers driving parents' cars. We'll talk about that in a second. John Rav 92 says, "Morning." There was a question. "Morning, keep up the great work." See, it wasn't a question, it was a comment, but I still take it. I appreciate the cue before. It makes it easier for me to identify that it's for me. Interesting questions about people who are bribing or buying fake, or I guess it's bribing testers to get licenses. We'll talk about that because that really bugs me. This user says, "As you see, he skipped over my question because they don't want to answer it. They break the law." Well, friend who doesn't actually have an account with a real name on it, I have no idea what your question was because I didn't see it, but I obviously saw this one and selected yours to talk about. So ask me the question again because I'm happy to talk about things. You'd be surprised at how much I talk about. Let's see here. Right now I'm not even answering that. I'm flagging things to come back to. Tweep says it's gross and cloud. Oh, Montreal, Canada. How you doing, Montreal? I love Montreal. Beautiful, beautiful place to visit. It might be a beautiful place to live, but I've only visited, and I've really enjoyed myself there. Chase says, "Good morning from Nova Scotia." I have friends in Nova Scotia. How's it going? Chase, you're not the first Chase on our channel, but we appreciate you being here. Someone silly says, "Can I drift on the freeway just for today?" No. Oh, this is an interesting question about driving with someone if they are suspended as a G1. We'll talk about that in a second. And all right, I flagged a whole bunch of stuff. I see questions about York Regional Police and OPP and Peel Regional Police. We'll talk about that in a second. Oh, okay. Questions about mental health issues. If you want to become a police officer, I can touch on that. And thank you, Michael, for the public service announcement. Sean is not often skipping questions. There is only one Sean and usually hundreds of visitors. And you're absolutely right. It takes time. This comment was at 10:18. Oh, that we're actually on time in terms of timestamps here. That's just rare. But yeah, once I start answering questions, I start to fall behind in the chat. And right now, I'm not even answering. I'm just flagging to come back. I got 14, which includes some dad jokes. But we're going to do a couple things and then come back to actually answering questions. So don't go anywhere. We're here for at least an hour, sometimes a little more, and sometimes a lot more. But we try not to do that because it is taxing on my voice, and I have other stuff that I do once I get offline. So let's see here. We have questions about being arrested. I think we're up to date. Okay, here's what we're going to do. And we're up to date on TikTok and everything. The feed is working. I love it. First things first, we're going to hide this PSA because I have to quickly mention the fact that Vision Zero, that magical group of officers, well, they're out every day. And what are they doing? Well, they're changing driver behavior one ticket at a time. I will admit that they may not actually be changing everyone's behavior, but the ones that get tickets, I'm hoping, learn from that experience. What are they doing? What kind of behavior am I talking about? Well, we're talking about the big four. We're talking about drivers who choose to engage in behavior like speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving. We know what happens when people do this. Speeding, this somehow victimless crime that people talk about. No, speeding contributes to major collisions. It increases the amount of and severity of damage and injury when collisions occur. And guess what? Cars have gotten a lot better. And that's what most people say. We should be able to go faster because car technology is so good now. That's great. People technology. The part between the car and the steering wheel and the seat, that's the part that sucks. And I mean that with all the love in the world. We are not better, faster. We're not professional drivers, and we're distracted like crazy. It's just not good to speed. It's just not. And I was cut off today. Oh, that's a story for later. We'll talk about it. If you're driving and you don't want to meet one of our magical officers from the Vision Zero enforcement team, don't break the law. It's simple. Now, we announce where they're going to be every day. And some say, why? Why would we tell anybody where they're going to be? We want the people who live in those neighborhoods to know that we're there. We're all about protecting communities. And we can't be everywhere all the time. But when we move through and enhance the good work already being done by officers in those divisions, well, we make a big deal about it. We post it on Twitter. We post it on Instagram. We post it on our Facebook page, which you should be following. And if you'd like to follow our pages and our channels, and you don't already, well, let me put this on screen for you, because if you go to TrafficCop.ca, you can find all of our social media, including our podcasts, our video, like just everything. And useful tips, too. At the bottom of the page are all sorts of useful links that allow you to find stuff like how to sign up for reminders for your health card, for your driver's license, for your renewal, which may not be required anymore, of your plates. But all that information is there. If you've got kids, you want to know when to put them in car seats, all that stuff, it's there. Yeah, we're good like that. Now, Vision Zero Enforcement Team are spending time today in 52 Division and 53 Division. Those are neighborhoods like Kensington, Chinatown, the Bay Street Corridor, Lawrence Park, Yonge and Eglinton, Rosedale, Leaside, neighborhoods where real people live, work, and play and deserve to be safe. Simple as that. In a little while, we'll talk about stuff and things, but we'll also talk about employment. And before I get too deep in the weeds, I want to address questions that have been asked. Yeah, it's important. Is it illegal to fold your rear plate up a little bit who lower their car? Oh, people who lower their car usually do it. Fold it up? Why would anyone fold it up? By the way, thanks to a different sergeant for coffee. They did a coffee run. I got a Buc-ee's, which is more like a 5 Buc-ee's, so it's a big deal. Yeah, you can't bend the plate. It has to be displayed as per regulation, so it has to be in a conspicuous place in the rear of the vehicle and in the front of the vehicle, and the rear plate must be illuminated. If you're bending it, it's not the way it's designed to be. Now, I could if it's facing up, is it so people can see it while looking down? Like, what is the purpose? Is it to make it more visible, less visible? Chances are you're going to have a problem. And if you're so low that the plate is not legible or visible, that's a problem too. Yeah. And certainly it has to be horizontal. You can't rotate it to be vertical. That's another thing. All right. I got to know more. You got pictures? I've not seen anybody fold their plates. Okay. Can we all advocate for stronger speeding laws? 100 kilometers plus is the norm, it seems. What do you mean? More laws to get people who break the law to be accountable? Is that what you mean? So when people break the law, we take away their licenses right away? Or do you mean that we should make the speed limits faster? Because I am unclear as to what you're asking. Now, I think, and I know that no one needs to speed, but people do anyway. And part of that is because we can't police everybody at the rate that needs to be policed. If we want everyone to stop speeding altogether, then we should have electronic enforcement everywhere so that any violation is caught. No one should have any wiggle room to speed. There's no reason for it. You don't get anywhere any faster. And before anyone starts losing their mind that, well, if you do 140, you do get there faster. True. In a sustained drive, 20 kilometers over the limit, sustained drive will change your destination for 12 minutes. You'll get there 12 minutes faster doing 120 than doing 100. Sustained. No one's doing that in the city of Toronto. No one's doing that on the Gardiner Expressway or the 401. They're going up and down and all over the place, and all they're doing is burning gas, wearing out their vehicles, and making themselves a higher risk for collision and injury and all that goes with it. So if you want to have higher and stronger laws and more enforcement, well, I'm all for it. But if you want to go faster, I wouldn't support that. Okay, Kronks wants to know, are you allowed to drive a car, but you are not, are you allowed to drive a car, but you are not under insurance, but it's your family member? First things first, if you have a license for that class of vehicle, you are legally permitted to operate that motor vehicle as long as it's insured. Now, that's where the police section of it ends. You have a licensed vehicle, or an insured vehicle that's licensed for the road. You have the appropriate license. You have access to it and permission to operate it. You can operate it. We won't give you a ticket for that. However, if you live with the owner and you are not on the insurance policy, the insurance company may have a stipulation that requires it, and then you may not be covered in the event of a collision. No ticket from us for it, but they may not repair the vehicle at all because you violated the conditions of their contract with the insured party. So find out first with them, because it may be different for every insurance company. Every insurance company, however, that I have spoken to wants people who live in the house to be insured. And frankly, if you don't have any insurance on any other vehicle, you should be on their insurance anyway, because that way you develop a relationship. And when you finally get your own vehicle, you'll be able to have lower rates based on a track record of success, hopefully. Okay, Carrie says, a police officer came to my door and gave me a ticket. It is a speeding ticket through a school zone. Okay. I'm not picking up what you're putting down. Did you speed in front of a school? Like, did they witness you doing it? Generally speaking, we don't go to your door to issue a ticket like that. Normally, we pull you over right then and there. So I need to know more. But where's the question? Because you only said what happened and didn't actually ask me a question. And I want to help you. I really do. So please rephrase the question, and we'll come back to you. Okay. Same question as before. The G2 driver driving my parents' car in Ontario. The car is fully insured by them. Can I drive the car? If you live with them, you should be on the insurance policy as per most insurance companies' requirements. Is it against the law? No. We won't give you a ticket for it. Thoughts on the recent reports of people paying for driving certificates, driver's licenses? I'm disgusted by it, that somebody would take a bribe and put someone on the road that is not qualified is disgusting, because they're putting everyone's life on the line when they do that for a quick buck. I hope that they catch all these people and that they charge them to the highest extent that the law allows. Throw them away, or throw them in jail and throw the key away. Don't throw them away. That would be wrong. Okay. Can York Regional Police give any kind of traffic ticket in PRP, Peel Regional Police, or Toronto Police area? So the answer is all of us are police constables. All of us have the ability of enforcing the Highway Traffic Act in Ontario, and the Canadian or the Criminal Code of Canada in Ontario. We're a police officer authority within the province, anywhere in the province. Now, for traffic tickets, generally speaking, we're only going to extend our reach one jurisdiction outside. Not because we don't have the authority, but because we're going to be issuing tickets and which court they're going to make you attend. Because I write a ticket, it's going to send you to the Toronto courts. That's not fair if I'm in Burlington. But do I have the authority to write the ticket? I have the authority to stop you, but then I'm going to phone a friend. So if I'm in Peel, well, we're attached to Peel. We can write the ticket. If I go to York Regional Police, Toronto Police is attached to York. We can write the ticket without having to phone a friend. If we're beyond that, if I go up to South Simcoe, I'm calling a friend. We do these things. We phone friends. People like us. Buster Billy wants to know if they can drive with their dad with my G1 if his license is suspended for medical reasons. The answer is no. In order for your dad to supervise you, they must be qualified and legal to drive. They have to have less than 0.05 BAC or blood alcohol content, and they have to be capable of driving. And if they're suspended, they're not capable of driving. Thus, they cannot supervise you. So I'm sad to say that you are without a qualified supervising driver at the moment. When they get their vehicle or their license reinstated, then they would be able to supervise you. Okay, moving on. By the way, if you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service, and I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff every single day. If you don't already follow us, please do, because that's how you stay in touch. How you see our new content when we post it, and you get notified when we go live, which is most days. Now, tomorrow is the last day this week. I cannot come in on Thursday. And of course, we're on holiday Friday. I hope to have a podcast to share with you for the days that I'm not here. That may or may not work out depending on timing, but it's my goal. It's good to have goals. But apparently I need water. I have something that's making my voice not sound good. Water usually helps. And I think it did a little bit. Maybe I'm coming down with something. Anyway, moving along. And for the folks who are watching on TikTok, do me a favor, please. Please tap the screen. Please tap the screen to show likes, and that helps other people get pulled into the party, which is really what it's all about. We want more people to get good information. We are part of the Toronto Police Service. This is a studio space at Toronto Police Traffic Services. It is a citywide traffic unit for the great city of Toronto. Does anyone else call it the great city of Toronto? I call it the great city of Toronto. It's a thing. All right. We got this. So a question about, can you be a police officer with mental health problems? It really depends. You have to be signed off by a doctor. You go and have an interview with a psychologist. They're going to determine whether or not whatever's going on in your life will preclude you or not from being a police officer. So let's talk about becoming a police officer, since you brought it up. And we have this wonderful thing that says, the website name, it's magical, really. www.tps.ca/careers will take you to this magical page of smiling faces and people with teeth. On this page, you'll find all the information about becoming a member of the Toronto Police Service. Should I make this larger? Yeah, I think I should. Oop. That's too big. All right, but now it's full screen. Anyway, information about becoming a police officer can be found under the Police Constable tab, right? Makes sense. You can even get the Apply Now button. I like that button. But all of the information you wanted to know and more, right here. That's where you get it. Everything, as well as how to get into touch with constables who do recruiting stuff and things. Of course, there are more jobs and positions available: special constable, parking enforcement officer, comms operator, and civilian roles, which I like to look at every day. I forgot how many we had yesterday, but there are 8 available today. Analyst, research and evaluation. I guess that's an analyst thing. Employee services representative. I think that's a new posting. When that was the 26th. Hey, today's the 26th. That just posted today. That must be the new one. Then we've got employee services representative, law clerk and legal services, nurse for a 1-year contract, comms operator, developer in the digital team, solutions architect, and senior analyst. If that sounds like you and you want to be a member of this magical service, then click in, get more information. Let's click here. Click here. Get all the information you ever wanted to know and more, and then apply. And if you have a friend that you think might do well applying for one of these jobs, well, send it to them. Be a good pal. Be a friend. a lot of people never thought of applying to the police service in a capacity other than as a police officer. Obviously, we have lots and lots of people and jobs that need to be done. There you go. Okay, question also about, what is this? If you have been arrested, not convicted, do you have a criminal record? I thought it was about employment, but it's not about employment. Well, it could be about employment. If you've been arrested and not charged, because there's arrested, then there's charged, and then there's convicted. Arrested is the initial, you're under arrest. Then the charge is the processing of the paperwork and putting in the file before the court and formally charging you with an offense, because you can be arrested, investigated, and released without any charges. So if you're charged, not just arrested, but charged, it's not until such time as you are convicted that you have a criminal record. Hopefully that didn't confuse things more and made it easier to understand. Hopefully, maybe, possibly. All right, let's look at the new questions, because lots have come in. Lots and lots. All right, we got the Buongiorno again. I just scrolled past that. And got to find where we left off. Here we are. Vector, Aman says to Vector, yes. I don't know what that conversation is about. I just walked into it. I almost ran into the back of a vehicle that had slowed down to 40 kilometers an hour to race another on the 403. Well, they're unnecessarily slow driving. If they were racing, that's stunt driving. There's a lot of possible things. But I'm glad you didn't run into them. Yeah, unnecessary slow driving, racing. What else could we do? Either way, I'm glad you're okay and you didn't get into a collision. Scott Heron says, good morning. Good morning to you. How many beers is normally okay for somebody before they're above? Well, here's the thing. You should not drink anything before driving. You just shouldn't. And how much is usually okay? There is no usual. There's nothing like that, because everyone's different and impairment can happen at any point with any amount of alcohol. And that's where a lot of people are really confused. They don't get it. They don't realize that that having some drugs can affect you much more than you think. Okay, hang on a second. I got to say goodbye to somebody here. Block. Apparently they like spamming the chat. So we'll put an end to that. The things I like to do is to say goodbye to folks who spam. All right. We covered the I know. So, yeah, everyone deals with alcohol differently and drugs. Really, zero is the best advice. Simple as that. But I can't give you a number that should be okay. Make a plan. Have an alternative mode of transportation, especially if you're in a big city like Toronto. Like, there's no excuses. If you're in smaller towns, it may be more work, but you can still find alternates. Okay. What's your thoughts on the Baltimore incident? I watched the video. That is scary. If for anyone who's not watching the news and isn't aware of the fact that a container ship struck a support for a bridge in Baltimore, the Baltimore Bridge, which then collapsed. A suspension bridge, it just went down. And that is scary, scary stuff. If there's any positive, it was in the middle of the night or very early morning, so I imagine far fewer people on the bridge at the time than could have been. But still, tragic. I had read 7 people are being searched for. I can't imagine only 7 people were on that bridge. Either way, someone's going to get in trouble. And I'm curious to see how this goes. My heart's it really feels for the people who the victims of this. It's terrible. My elderly neighbor has the bad dementia, but is still able to drive a vehicle. How is that allowed? Because nobody knows that they have bad dementia. Either the doctor hasn't suspended them, or they have suspended them and the person with dementia forgot, and that's not to make fun of them. They really may not remember. I would contact your local police. If you are in Toronto, contact us. We can look into that. As a police officer, we can make recommendations to the Ministry of Transportation to have that revoked. We might be able to get in contact with family. At very least, we can look into it. If they're causing problems on the road, they're probably already on our radar. But absolutely, that's something you can report. You can even report it online. We have a form at tps.ca. You can make report driving concerns and concerns about specific drivers. And if you're aware of this safety concern, it's something to bring to our attention. We got greetings, Officer Sean. Hello from Brock, Vegas. Brock, Vegas. I love it. Hello. How are you? Thanks for saying hey. All right. Let's see here. We got there. Let me scroll through all the spam. Jack Max wants to know, if someone breaks in my house, can I end them? you want to know about using lethal force. Under the Criminal Code of Canada, lethal force can be used, but remember, if it's considered excessive, you are responsible criminally for any excessive use. So ending them is the first opportunity? No. And it's not really for breaking in particular. It's about defending yourself. So if you're being attacked violently and your only way to survive is to employ lethal force, well, you're going to have to articulate that. You're probably getting arrested, just saying. So bad things happen when you hurt people, even if you're defending yourself. Bad things can happen. Watch the news. We've seen people who believe they were in the right end up getting arrested. Oh, here we go. Why go after speeders when you let criminals who break into homes and steal cars stay free? Well, first off, Josh, there's a very large police service, even though we're terribly understaffed. We have many different departments with different specialties. My specialty is traffic safety, traffic law, and part of that means enforcement of Highway Traffic Act rules. And you may have figured this out, but speeding kills. If you haven't figured it out, let me tell you that speeding kills. High speed means more damage and more injury when collisions occurred, and collisions do occur more frequently the higher the speed that you travel at. So changing driver behavior is incredibly important. I keep talking about this. We lost 45 lives on the streets of Toronto as a result of traffic collisions. 45 because of traffic collisions. Violent crime and car thefts may have, or at least the violent crime may have had more, but not by much. And anybody who loses a life, whether it be by crime or by way of a traffic collision, is a life that shouldn't have been lost. It was because someone made a bonehead decision. Traffic collisions aren't accidents. Someone is responsible, just like criminal stuff, and we hold those people responsible. We also try and deter behavior that leads to these things. Kind of a broken record on this. Don't break the law. We won't have to go after anybody. And maybe we'd be able to, divert more resources to car theft. And car theft's a major problem. I'm not throwing any shade that way. Like, car theft's a major problem, but we have officers who are dedicated to that project. We are dedicated to traffic safety. By the way, I think it was 27, 29, way too many pedestrians resembling or representing too large, overrepresenting in the fatalities when it comes to last year's fatalities on the road. Just anyway, terrible. So good morning. Off-leash dogs are becoming a major issue. Does reasonable force to self-defense apply to protecting yourself and your family against aggressive off-leash dogs? Obviously, you're allowed to defend yourself against a dog. In fact, you're allowed to carry pepper spray as dog repellent. It has to be labeled dog repellent. You can't have pepper spray, can't have tear gas like stuff you buy in the States. If you're buying stuff in the States and importing it, be very careful, because if it has tear gas in it, that's a prohibited item. That becomes jail-worthy. That is a much more serious offense than just carrying pepper spray. Pepper spray used for dog repellent, clearly labeled as such, is actually legal, and that's the right reason to use it. Use it against a dog that is aggressive and attacking you, or that you want to get rid of. Any coyotes too, the same thing. But just abusing an animal because it makes you nervous is different. You can't do that. What are the plans moving forward to deal with car theft? That's not my department. I don't know. I'm not involved in it, but I'm certainly interested to know. I mean, we give lots of advice. We give advice that some people think is funny or ridiculous, but it's advice about keeping you safe. We're also giving advice to try and reduce the risk of having your vehicle stolen. So first off, we tell people to do things to make their vehicles less attractive for would-be thieves. The club. Now, can they defeat the club? Sure, but it takes time. They bring grinders now. Portable battery-powered grinders, and cut steering wheels, cut the club. It's a deterrent. It's not a solution. People put bollards, poles at the end of their driveway so the car can't be driven over. Guess what? They can defeat those if they want to as well. They have people putting on the boot on the vehicle. They've defeated those. They'll take the whole thing on a tow truck and drag it down the street. If they want the vehicle, they'll get it. Now you have to decide safety, your safety, which is where all this discussion about putting your keys in a reasonable place at the front of the vehicle, in the front of the house, not in front of the house. So many people misconstrued whether it was because they truly misunderstood or wanted to get likes and views online, suggested that one of our officers told people to leave the keys outside of the house, which is ridiculous and incorrect. The officer rightfully said, leave the keys at the front of the house so that the thieves that are trying to break in and steal your need more water, to steal your car, get the car and leave, as opposed to go up to your house, up to your bedroom, drag you out of bed in the middle of the night, which is scary, which is traumatizing, which is not good. And the potential to be hurt, never mind traumatized, is real and present. Armed, actual bad guys. Everyone's tough, though. They go, oh, if they get in my house, well, I'll take. No, you won't. Get real. I can't imagine what it would be like to be woken up in the middle of the night and dealing with that. Anyway, that's where that advice comes from. It's good advice. It's about safety. It's not about being tough. It's not about saving your stuff. I saw one in the news, I think it was today I watched it, where someone was carjacked for a Rolls Royce at gunpoint. And the woman who was the passenger, she said, take your toy gun away. And the guy, showed them the bullets. Not a toy gun. Okay, that changes things, huh? Travis says, I didn't realize how tall you were until I saw you at the auto show. Yeah, I'm 6'5", and I don't look 6'5" on this screen. So, yeah, it was nice meeting you at the auto show. I assume we met as opposed to just saw me. Okay. Question from Chase. Chase, you've been quiet up until now. If you were driving on a road with a median and a school bus is in the other direction, what should you do when there's a small break in the median to allow for left turns and the lights are on? It's not a divided highway at that point, is it? But you're getting into, I think, too granular a discussion. I would say that that at that point, if you are on a section of road that allows for traffic to turn, it's not truly what's the word I'm looking for? Divided highway. It's probably just something that has a temporary median, and a median does not change the classification of the road. So if it is got a grassy knoll throughout the entire area, you basically got a one-way street on one side and a one-way street on the other side, that's what we're talking about. That's when we're talking about an undivided highway versus a divided highway. If there's no way for vehicles to cross over, that's when we're talking. If there's the ability for vehicles to turn in front, send me a picture. Send me a picture of the intersection. I want to see it, because we're right now in the realm of maybe, and I need a visual. It depends. I would say divided is very clearly divided, and just a curb doesn't necessarily mean it's divided. It has to be the whole road. Okay. Can you have a plate cover with a dealership name on it? No. Technically, no. You cannot have anything on your plate at all whatsoever. Whether you have a dealership surrounding it, if you're covering any portion of the plate, it is against the law. Can't have a cover, can't be clear, can't be tinted, nothing, not a niche 90. Okay. We got good morning, Sean, from Carl Freeman. And then we got a question from Michael. I'm assuming this is a comment in relation to speed. It is about speed cameras. Okay. Michael wants to know if I think there would be political will to do it. There would be incredible expense to have speeding cameras everywhere when that money could be used for border services stopping weapons. Totally different situation. I don't know if there's a political will. I would assume there wouldn't be, but I still think it's the best piece of technology available. And I think that technology is getting easier to get. I think that the highways would be the easiest, because all you need is one at every exit and one at every off-ramp. And guess what? We do that with the 407 anyway. Technology is there. It's an expense, but how would it stop and save lives? How much do we waste on life-saving measures and emergency vehicle response, tying up roads for hours and hours for investigations for major collisions? That would almost in one foul swoop stop all that expenditure. So I think that if someone was really looking at the numbers, I think that becomes a really good option. And I don't know about the ones, maybe moving them around the city all the time. Maybe that would be it. Maybe, I don't know. How big does the camera have to be for this? I don't know. What do we got here? Okay. Carm says, I got a cell phone ticket. I fought it with a paralegal, and they said it went well, no points taken. Okay. They do often negotiate for lesser and included offenses. In some cases, that could result in no demerit points. But truthfully, any conviction is bad for you. Doesn't matter if there's points or not. Your insurance company doesn't care about points. That's for the Ministry of Transportation to know when to send you a nastygram saying be a better driver and when to suspend you. So from that perspective, you did okay. Also, if I don't know how quickly it got to court, but if it goes 2 years from the date of the offense, you wouldn't get points anyway, like at all, because they expire at 2 years. So if you just paid someone to get you off of your points, and it was 2 years plus a day, you would never have had points anyway, even if you just, pled guilty. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Thanks to friends who are reminding people to use the letter Q at the beginning of a message, so I know it's for me and not just banter amongst yourselves. Audrey Sawtile. Sawtile? It not legal to give out ticket on private property, fight it. Audrey, it legal to give a ticket on private property. It depends on which ticket we're giving. It depends on the charge we're giving. So you can fight anything you like, but that doesn't mean you're right. So get some legal advice. You can, if it in the POA, or at least going to court for provincial offenses, there is a guide to defendants for POA court in Ontario, and it explains the process. Links to that are available at TrafficCop.ca. I'll put that on screen for anyone who needs to see the visual. But it really depends. To tell somebody just fight it because it was issued on private property. Stunt driving is issued on private property. It's legal to issue tickets for stunt driving on private property. If you commit an offense on public property, on the road, and then drove on the private property, we can issue you a ticket there. We can issue you a ticket up to 6 months after the event took place. If it's for charges for insurance, like no insurance, we can charge you 3 years after. So if you're giving advice, please give the correct advice. Okay. Daniel wants to know, can my headlights be yellow? Amber. Let's see here. Amber has poor definition in law. Stoplight is amber, looks yellow. So yellow and amber is the same, essentially. I mean, they're different shades. But the color of the light that you are projecting forward in a motor vehicle in Ontario must be amber or white. And yellow falls into that category. I love the conversation as Cody jumped in on there to tell Audrey that, yes, you can. Pulling your, I said what you just typed, so it's awesome. Scrolling back. Oh, we're busy today. It's good. 92 new messages. All right. Here we go. What is your position with current issue of driving schools? All offenders should be charged. Do you mean issuing authorities or driving schools? Because driving schools teach driving. Drive Test and other provincial people who have provincial signing authority for testing give licenses. So I don't exactly know what we're talking about. Audrey's doubling down. Illegal. Yeah. What's your thought of the April 1st tax hike? I don't think anybody likes taxes. Well, I don't like them either. But beyond that, this is not a political channel. Let's see here. The ticket was $615, but I have to still pay $315. They just reduced it. They reduced payment on your cell phone charge, like for drive distracted, or did you plead guilty to a lesser offense at a $315 thing? Anyway, interesting. Is it hard being a police officer? I love being a police officer. It's the only thing I ever wanted to do, really, since I was a kid. There are challenging days. There are very hard days. And there are really great days. So, yes, it can be hard. It's certainly challenging to get in. It's challenging when you're having hard days. You have friends that die. You watch the public get hurt. Sometimes you watch them die, even though you can't stop it from happening. That's hard, but that's not every day. Sometimes you're helping people and seeing them in their best ever day. Enjoy, and that's wonderful. So there's ups and there's downs, and there's a lot of mediocre. But overall, it's the best job in the world. Thanks for asking. Okay. Ash wants to know about turning right at an intersection using those merging lanes. Do you still signal left out to merge? Turning right at an intersection using those merging lanes. Do you still signal left out of? We're turning right, and then we're turning left. I don't get what we're talking about. Are you talking about like a bus lane, like where you turn right and there's a bus lane? You don't turn into that lane. You turn into your proper lane. Ash, ask me differently. You got to rephrase your question because I'm confused by your question. Okay. VFR 800 guy says, as if I would care in a medical emergency. I don't know what we're talking about, VFR guy. I bought a new car, but afraid of theft to take it. What are the folks doing to protect us? Well, we don't protect you from car theft. We can't sit and babysit your car in your driveway. We make suggestions as to how you can reduce the chances of you becoming involved or being a victim, and that's by taking adequate precautions. So putting your keys in a Faraday pouch, parking in a well-lit area, having video cameras, using your garage if you have a garage, not leaving certain information, and certainly not leaving keys and things inside the car. It's about making your vehicle less likely to be stolen because it looks like too much work. And let's face it, thieves are generally lazy plugs who want to steal your stuff because they don't want to get a job and because stealing your stuff is more lucrative. So they take that cowardly approach of stealing your stuff. But they will likely steal your neighbor's stuff if you have taken steps to make their vehicle more easier to steal than yours. Because if your neighbor did nothing, then by virtue of you doing something, you've made your vehicle less stealable. Not totally prevented. Now, kill switches are great. ODB2 port blocks are good. There's technology that allows you to add PIN encoding, so you can have a device installed. So even though you have the key, you have to still press a bunch of keyboard commands to get into your vehicle and actually start it. All these things add time. Time is something that they don't have. They want to get in and get out and steal your stuff. What is the most wholesome thing you have come across on duty? I don't know. I have to think about it. I want to give you a good answer. I have to really think about it, though. There's so many good things. I've been 24 years on the job. I've seen a lot of magic. Let's see here. Cop flashed his lights behind me and another while racing in a 60. Cop flashed his lights behind me and another while racing 180 in a 60 and let us go. Really? That cop should have stopped you, charged you, and taken your stuff, taken your license, your vehicle. You should have left with tons of tickets, not a warning. That's just me. Did you learn a lesson though, Josh? I don't know. Not sure warnings work. Not when it comes to stunt driving. Okay. Oh, driving schools offering certificates for attending the classes without. I'm not aware of that. That's new. That's new to me. But I'd love to see them held accountable. It's disgusting. Telling people, giving them discounts on insurance and getting their G1s, G2s faster without ever attending a class. That's gross. Carm says they did learn their lesson. Okay, that's good. Is it illegal to cut across a parking lot at an entrance? Seen it happening a lot lately. I haven't seen it in a long time, but it's not specifically illegal. It could be trespassing, but it's not a Highway Traffic Act offense. That said, if they drive out of the driveway on the other side without stopping before a sidewalk, that is against the law, and they could be stopped and charged. Jenna says, do you have to use signals in a roundabout? You do. Not when you go into it, but when you leave it. You signal your intention to leave, because while you're in that roundabout, you have the right of way, and other drivers have no idea what you're doing until you signal your intention to leave it. Going into it, however, you're just following the curvature of the road. No need to signal in. You can't signal straight anyway. Is there a difference in Toronto for traffic laws than Quebec? Or are there differences in Toronto? Then, anyway, I'm trying to edit live. Yes, every province has its own traffic act. The basic driving skills laws, etc., are the same or similar. But regulatory stuff like what color or can you have, like how low the car can be, can you have tint on all the windows, what level of tint, that can change between, that stuff is primarily the difference. But there are other differences, just the broad strokes are the same. Okay. Hot water is better? I don't have hot water though. I'm assuming tea. I should make tea right after. Okay. Someone's calling out Josh. Says Cap. I very rarely use lingo that doesn't meet my age, but Cap I think is entertaining. Yeah. So Josh says, are the cops really stupid enough to say, put your keys by the door so it's easier for thieves? No, Joe. We're telling people to leave the keys near the front door because if a criminal is willing to break into your house and they're armed with a firearm and they come to your bed in the middle of the night and they drag you out at gunpoint, that is traumatizing, and they're likely not just going to act nicely. They're probably going to, motivate you through physical force, and you're going to give up your keys because, let's be realistic, that's what's happening. That's happening. It's real life. By leaving the keys in the fishbowl at the front door, even though they're in a Faraday pouch and the relay theft is being defeated, well, if they are brazen enough to get in the house, then they take the keys and they go, and they don't hurt you. At least that's the hope. So for all the people who are, throwing allegations like Joe just did, suggesting that it's a bad idea, I don't think they're looking at the big picture. I don't think you're really looking at what real life is. And I get it, because we live with rose-colored glasses and believe that we're safe when in our homes. And we're not exactly as safe as you think you are. Locks are to keep honest people out. Okay. Anonymous says, can you please talk about the doctrine of necessity? Because there are situations you would have to speed or else greater harm could occur, and there's no exemption in the law, fleeing from an assailant. This is an interesting discussion because many people say, well, if I got to go somewhere, I'm got to go somewhere, and I'm going to do what I got to do. And you do what you're going to do, and if it goes badly, you're going to be held responsible. And if it goes great, you may not. Like you may not get stopped when you're speeding to the hospital, but you may also cause a collision that takes other lives or prevents you from even getting to the hospital. When we as police officers respond to a call, we're allowed to speed. We're legally permitted to, and we have to take great lengths and caution when using that ability, because if we get into a crash on the way, no one's helping you. We're not even getting to where we're trying to go to help you. So we talk about guaranteed arrival. We talk about getting there quickly, but getting there safely. And that's where our training comes in. That's when we are also relying on secondary people who are watching us. We're tracked by GPS. We can be called off a call. We can be told to slow down. We could be told all sorts of things. But people think that they can just do what they have to. You do what you got to do. You're going to be held responsible if it doesn't go right. That's the thing. But there are times, I'm sure, that with all the laws in the world wouldn't stop a parent from trying to get their child to the hospital to save their life. It may not be rational. It may not be good. And it could go either way. Sometimes 911 is the best option. And if you're calling 911 and telling them that someone's speeding after you and that you're speeding, at least you've involved the authorities. You're also distracted because you're calling police while you're trying to drive and you're panicking. It's a recipe for disaster. But you may or may not have luck using that as a defense if you take someone's life. Anyway, moving on. What's the starting salary and max salary of cops? If you go to Toronto Police, actually now I keep forgetting that we're now the short form, but tps.ca/careers and click on police officer. I believe cadets make somewhere in the vicinity of $68,000 while they're training, and a full first-class constable makes somewhere in the vicinity of $110,000. Okay, scrolling through. Some suggestions. We'll skip that one because there might be some. Anyway, moving on. Josh says it's not against the law for truck drivers to drive in the passing lane. Actually, that's not true, Josh. There is a law that says that commercial vehicles can't occupy the first and second lane. If they're transitioning to a different set of road, like from collectors to the express, that's one thing, but they can't just hang out there. There's actually laws against that. Can you still be a police officer if you're almost 40? I was already a member of the service from the age of 25, but I became a police constable at 38. So, yeah, you can absolutely. There was a guy 52 in my class, 50 or 52. Anyway, he was older than me. He was the oldest person in our class, and he had just become a police constable after being a parking enforcement officer for many years. What do we got here? It's to do. Lots of conversation. And I'm trying to find a question. I have glasses and I'm 4'10". Can I be an officer? If you can meet the minimum requirements in terms of height, of vision, not height, because there is a minimum vision requirement. It might require laser surgery to get you to the next level. But in terms of height, there is no height requirement. You might be able to 4'10". I don't know. I don't see anything in the application or information page that would prevent you. As long as you can pass all the tests, and there are a lot of them, then you should be fine. Best advice, though, talk to a recruiter, because while I know stuff, they know lots of stuff in regards to employment. Okay. When pulling my car over for an emergency, should I pull into the bike lane or should I stop in the car lane? You pull over to the nearest curb or edge of roadway, and that includes crossing the bicycle lane. Guess what? Bicycles need to pull over too, so nobody should be pulling past you. So you signal, you do it safely, you do it quickly, but safely, so you don't cut off the bicycle, but you do block that lane. Get off the road, make the space available for emergency vehicles to get through. Joey, thank you for asking this, because it's stuff that we don't talk about enough. It's important. A lot of people get really confused about bicycle lanes. Do you need experience before you apply? That's what Uzi wants to know. And Uzi, the deal is you don't need experience. I mean, whatever experience you have in life is good. You could be a real estate agent, an accountant, a doctor. We don't expect you to have experience as a police officer before becoming a police officer. We train you for what you need to know to be one. That's a good advice or suggestion. If there are schools issuing certificates, charge both parties. If the person buying it is knowingly buying a fraudulent certificate, yeah, we should charge them both. Okay. What are the fines or penalties for driving without insurance? So if the vehicle has no insurance, you're driving a motor vehicle without insurance on the road, you're looking at $5,000 to $25,000 and up to 6 months in jail for the first conviction. It goes up from there. Let's see here. What happens if you're 14 and the police catches you driving? Well, you're going to get charged, and we're going to be talking to your parents. And they could be charged if they knowingly let you drive the car, or you can be charged. You get charged. We'll say that. And guess what? We issue you a ticket that creates a history. You actually develop a history driving because your driver's license number is unique to you. And that unique driver's license stays with you forever. So even when you're an adult, we'll see that. What new scam in Ontario can you help, please? I received the text message. I need to know more than that, X. I don't know what you're saying. I have a question. How can I send you a question? You just did. This is how you send them. What is the difference between reckless driving and stunts driving? So you're using reckless driving, which is actually not a term that we use in Ontario. Careless driving is a Highway Traffic Act offense, non-criminal, that says that you were driving with undue care and attention. You weren't doing something safe. That's careless driving. Dangerous driving, which might be more what reckless driving is, again, American versus Canadian. Dangerous driving is criminal. It's a criminal charge. You're driving with the intent to do something that you know is dangerous, and that is a different charge. You can do careless driving causing death. You can have dangerous driving, much higher thing. Then you have stunt driving, which is doing a whole bunch of things. It could be speed, it could be driving behavior, it could be losing traction, wheelies, driving with someone in the trunk, ton of different things. And the consequences are different because stunt driving comes with a 14-day vehicle impound and a 30-day driver's license suspension, and then on conviction, a further 1 to 3 years suspension and a $2,000 to $10,000 fine, up to 6 months in jail. Different consequences, but it's not criminal. It's just Highway Traffic Act. All right, trying to catch up. We're way behind. We're about 25 minutes behind, 30 minutes behind in the questions. Okay. Going to try and get through all of the stuff where people are just chatting with each other. People talking about impaired driving. Toronto has a rep for the best trained police officers in North America. Why do other Canadian departments not adopt your methods? I can't speak for anybody else. You know, Toronto has the Toronto Police College, in addition to the education we get at the Ontario Police College, where all police officers who are sworn in the province of Ontario attend. And then we also happen to be the biggest municipal police service in the country. And we have the most dynamic, city. We're huge. So lots of stuff happens here. It means we have a lot of experience that people are getting. The officers are getting real life experience, and that could be one of the differences. We also have a great training cadre of people. What makes us different than anybody else? I don't know. I don't know why we're considered the best. I've always thought that Ontario or Canadian officers in general have the best training, but I'd love to know more about what you're talking about, other than to pat ourselves in the back and say, yeah, we're awesome. How do I stay centered in the lane while driving? Just got my G1. Look far enough ahead. Don't look at the front of your hood. Look at this horizon. Look far into the distance. You may also want to look at the where you are in relation to the vehicle in front of you. You'll get used to it. It's a skill like anything else. It becomes normal. The more you fuss about it, the harder it is. But definitely don't stare at the hood of your car. And a lot of people look at the ground 3 feet in front of it, and you're not following the lines. You're following the vehicle in front of you, or you're looking off to look centered in the lane. You'll get to it. You'll get it. And I want to talk to driving instructors and say, get the actual answer that they provide. But Spartan, you're in the right place in terms of following along. I've had a lot of people give me feedback that they got their G-Class license and they've been watching us since they got their G1, and they credit what we do and what we talk about to helping them along the way. So if you got questions, you're in the right place. And we are going over time. We'll do this for another 20 minutes. At 11:30, I've got to go. Okay. If my cousin uses my car to go to work, does he need to be insured on that vehicle if he's using it? Does your cousin live with you? Because you can loan a car occasionally to somebody else if they're licensed to drive in Ontario for that class of vehicle. And technically, you don't have to add them if it's a one-off kind of thing. If it's a regular thing, you should be adding them because your insurance company could determine that they believe that this person is using it on a regular basis. And they want to deny the claim. Talk to your insurance company. Additional coverage is good, even though it costs money. But you don't want to be in a situation where your one vehicle is suddenly destroyed because of a collision and no one's willing to pay for it because you violated some rule that they have. Remember, insurance companies are a private organization that you make an agreement with. Josh says the same thing. Stare at the farthest point you can safely see in your lane. Your mind will naturally help you center. Yeah, good advice. All right. Josh says never stare at the road. Josh, we're on the same place for advice. Can I carry open plutonium? Only if you're in a DeLorean. I do love those movies. Okay. Lots of conversation about plutonium now. Why are the car thefts not being stopped? Well, we asked them nicely to stop, and they said no. It's not as simple as stopping things. There's investigations. It's an organized network of criminals. It's not just the people stealing them. It's the people shipping them and the organizations internationally receiving them. It's not as simple as saying, don't do that. I wish it was. Okay. Scrolling. Oh my goodness, there's so much conversation here. It goes by We talked about this already. This is good advice. Take out your ignition fuse. If you do that, there's no way for your car to be turned on. Frankly, it's good advice. It makes it harder for someone to steal. They may not have a fuse in their pocket, which means they can't start it. Also, the fuel pump relay is a great thing to remove. It's a pain in the butt to pop the hood and take it out, but no one's going to have a spare relay. So that's some advice that I've seen online, and I've given that advice on talk shows before when I'm on the radio. It is really good advice, but it's a pain. Alternatives are kill switches, but the truth is that if they want your car, tow trucks are at the ready. There are bad people with tow trucks. Not all of them are bad, but some buy trucks and use them for their own personal purposes. Can green plate vehicles drive solo in the carpool lane in the city? And no, not unless there is an exemption plate stated for green plates. It's not on there, and all the signs dictate what the rules are for those lanes. So green plates don't give them access to the diamond multi-use lanes. Usually it's 3 passengers instead of 1, or motorcycles or buses or taxis. The green plates are eligible for 400 series highways. And a tidbit about this is if you decide to get a custom plate that is no longer green, you lose the access to the HOV lane when you're driving solo. You have to have the actual green plate attached. Good question. Fine day, Sunday. Does every division have a traffic unit, or is there one big traffic unit for all of TPS? There is one big traffic unit for all of TPS. There are traffic complaints positions at the divisional level. So if you have a problem in your neighborhood where people are running stop signs in one street, complaints go to that officer. That officer then can make their rounds to that particular place because there's an issue there, and they can focus on the needs of that division. But it's not a full traffic unit. The traffic unit is a citywide unit. That's where I work at Toronto Police Traffic Services. We are based downtown. We have 2 satellite locations, and we respond to collisions and do enforcement throughout the city. Okay. I appreciate the assistance. That there's a queue of questions. Sean is currently about 20 minutes behind. This is the way it works. It takes time to answer everybody. So I do my best. And obviously we won't get to everybody because I got to go in 15 minutes. I say that. It'll probably be 20 minutes. Okay. Where's my place? Everything just updated. There we go. Oh, there's tons of questions. Can I click on my Apple CarPlay screen while driving just to pause music and such? CarPlay in the infotainment system, you can touch that. CarPlay, well, it's not CarPlay, I guess, if you're touching the phone, but you can't touch the phone. Even if it's mounted, the only contact you're allowed to have with your communications device or entertainment device is to answer a call or hang up on a call. You can have a GPS screen visible. Infotainment system, you can do that all the time, but on the car, the actual touch screen, you can only have the GPS screen visible. You can't even interact with that to add an address. So yes, infotainment system, click on your screen, use it, sparingly, use caution, because if you are focused on your screen and you're not noticing the weaving all over the road and the police officer's watching, you could be charged for careless driving. Jacked Up says, totally discombobulated at 3 a.m. I love the word discombobulated, but I don't know the context of what you're talking about. Okay. So people should let them steal their cars. Nobody's letting anybody do anything, but the alternative of making yourself the gateway to getting your vehicle when they're still, anyway, I've beaten this topic to death. Nobody wants you to let them steal a car. But given the option of your safety versus the car's insured, no need to get hurt. Okay. So can you answer me why undercover police cover vehicles are what, Richard? Can you answer me why undercover police vehicles are? I'm missing something. Like the question. Do we have any friendly competitions with any other local law enforcement departments in Ontario? We have hockey leagues. Anything else I couldn't tell you. I don't know. What do I do if someone road rages me and he or she almost hit my car? Road rage, aggressive driving. I mean, is it intentional? Is it unintentional? Or just terrible drivers? And if they almost hit your car, they didn't hit your car, so there's no collision. Dash cameras are great. I'm a big advocate of dash cameras, But what do you do if someone almost hits you? You can't report an almost hit. You can if someone is chasing you, trying trying to weave into you to try and drive you off the road. These are 911 calls. Those are an emergency situation. That's a drive to the closest police station if they're following you. But if they just cut you off because they're terrible drivers like that. So I started this at the beginning of the show. On my way to work today, a guy who was clearly watching a movie on his cell phone decides to hit the brakes and then turn into my lane, I'm assuming to try and get off the highway. He didn't hit me. I did honk the horn a lot. And he then waved because, the wave in Canada solves all problems. Yeah, if that was you, you're a horrible driver. But that wasn't aggressive driving. That was stupid driving. Or distracted driving, or a combination of both. Are you allowed to put a spotlight on your car lighting up work area? You can have spotlights when you're off-road illuminating an area. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. You can't drive with it on. Is underglow legal in Canada? There's no specific law about underglow, at least in Ontario. And every province has their own laws. But if you have bulbs underneath your vehicle that are visible, projecting light outward, then you're probably violating a law, like headlight laws or taillight laws or certain colors, flashing laws. There's a bunch of different laws that it could violate. My suggestion is twofold. One, install the bulbs high up in the undercarriage of the vehicle so that if they are on, they only faintly glow and just the ground beneath it is glowing, and faintly, not blasting bright light that's projecting outwards, because I guarantee you people like Sergeant Campbell will ticket you for it. Now, why? Because if you're projecting light forward that is anything other than yellow or white, you're violating the law. And if you're projecting anything backwards other than amber or red, you're violating the law. And if you're one of the people who has it bouncing to the music, flashing, well, that's intermittent flashes of red light, and that's against the law. There's a ton of different things that you can get charged for. Don't do it. Use it on private property. Do whatever you want on private property. Yeah. What is the fine for no seatbelt? No seatbelt or not wearing a seatbelt. If you're not wearing a seatbelt, it's $240. I think it's 3 demerit points. Bad idea. And you get that ticket if someone under the age of 16 is in your vehicle not wearing one. If they're over the age of 16 or over, they get the ticket. But it's $240. Actually, is it $240 for passengers? Maybe it's $180 for passengers. Let's look because, again, we have the technology. Come on, phone, respond. Boom, boom, boom. What song was in my head? Okay, seatbelt. And it's $240 for everybody. $240 for everybody. Oh, and how many points? I said 3. I say 3. It's 2 points. All right. I see cars every day with burnt out brake lights. Is there any point reporting it to police? No, there really isn't, because we're not going to lay a charge based on it. Well, we're going to send them a letter saying your lights are burnt out. If there's no lights, we'll charge them. You only legally require 1 light to the rear. I know. Wild and crazy it is. 2 headlights are required. 1 light to the rear is required. Functioning and discernible at 150 meters. Okay. More questions about insurance. We've covered it. Car theft, we've covered it. Okay. If you're visiting Ontario from out of province, are equipment violations, modded exhaust tint, ticketable? Yes, they are. If we have a standard that says it's unsafe and illegal to be on our roads, you can't drive here with it. Just like you have to have insurance to drive here. If you have a driver's license issued from a state or province and you're not yet 16, because some places issue them, you cannot drive in Ontario, even though your laws say you can drive in your province or state. So, yeah. Okay, we covered that already. How do you become a traffic cop that patrols on a motorcycle? Calvin Close wants to know. Calvin Kloss. I was that officer. I came to traffic services where all the motorcycles are, and I was invited to join because I had previously been a qualified officer when I was I was here as an auxiliary, got my motor officer designation or course to qualify me to drive a motorcycle, went to a division. Then when I came back, they said, oh, he's still got his classification to ride. So they invited me up, and then I tried out because there's a competition to try out called Test Your Metal. then, or so you think you can ride. Test Your Metals, a Harley Davidson test drive. So you think you can ride is what we called it. I did that. They said, you're good. I said, thank you. And then they put me on a 2-week course because there were new standards, and it took us to a whole new level. So yeah, you have to be a police officer first, then you have to be a member of the traffic services. Actually, right now we're looking at people who aren't even at traffic services because we're expanding the unit. So that's pretty cool. So it depends, but police officer is the start. Dream come true. That was the best thing ever, being a motor officer. Okay. Omar wants to know, is it illegal to do donuts or burnouts on private property? Yes, it's illegal. Illegal. It's not legal. It's not driving, even on your private property. The only place you can legally do it is on a track or a place with a permit that they've applied for a permit. They've been issued a permit to allow for that behavior. Is there anywhere legal to drift or burnouts other than a track? No. Okay. Talked about this. Why is it legal to have extreme bright headlights? It's not. There's a maximum, and then they become improper once you exceed the maximum. So if someone's got blinding headlights, it's probably illegal. If it's modern, bright white lights, LED, then they're legal, but annoying. Why? Okay. Jack says, why doesn't the police and car clubs as well as supporters hold a car show drag race at Downsview? I don't know, Jack. Maybe you should organize an event, get a permit, and make it happen. These things are possible, but it's not something that we're going to go and initiate. Someone's got to do it. These things all take resources, time and money to set up, and that's not something that we can. I'm speaking, not actually having been told this, but I assume we've got bigger fish to fry than making up, sporting events. I think it's great. And there's tracks that we could go to. I don't think Downsview is going to be the one because it's more than just having a track. It's the medical and emergency response in case things go badly. I can't imagine a police service taking on that responsibility and liability. Do y'all still arrest criminals anymore? Is crime a possible career option now? Does make you think, right? We arrest lots of people. Courts release lots of people. It's a problem in North America and the world. Let's see here. Thank you, Josh, for the reminder. Questions are currently about 20 minutes behind. Please be patient. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate you assisting at sharing that because most people get really frustrated and think that I'm like instantly responding. And if I'm skipping questions that are asked repeatedly, like I answered this about 10 or 15 minutes ago about crossing through intersections. Just ask the question once. I really try and answer them all. Okay. Talked about this. Wow. Chase, if you have that CBC documentary, please send me a link to it. I'd love to see it. I am not aware of that. I mean, I'm hearing from people, but I've not seen it. Captain Price says, good morning, Sean. Good morning, Captain. We've got, Jeremy Constantine wants to know if I've ever been to Australia. I've been to Melbourne because I have family in Melbourne, and I have been to Australia. I've only been once. I spent 3 or 4 weeks there. I had a fabulous time. I did get a chance to go to Cairns. I rented a motorcycle, took off, and enjoyed. I went to the Great Barrier. I love Australia, and I'd like to take my family back, not only to visit my family, but to show my family what an amazing place it is. Okay. What's the fine for no seatbelt? We talked about this. It's 240 and 2 demerit points if you're a driver, 240 no points if you're a passenger. Okay. I sent you a DM asking my lane merging question. There's enough characters to ask on live. Okay, well, I will have to answer you in DM because I can't access it right now. It's Vitali wants to know about protecting oneself. Yeah, that's a question I'm not touching. But yeah, Canada could change laws, but I don't think it's going to happen. What's the minimum distance for passing a horse on a roadway? That's a good question. Let's look it up. Only because, I don't know. We don't get a lot of horses here. Horse. Well, it's against the law to frighten an animal or race an animal. No sleigh bells, equestrian rider, failed to use proper equipment. That's an interesting charge. I don't see a specific number. I mean, it's a meter for a bicycle. Every person having the control or charge of a motor vehicle or motor-assisted bicycle on a highway when approaching a horse or other animal that is drawing a vehicle or being driven, led, or ridden shall operate, manage, or control the motor vehicle or motor-assisted bicycle so as to exercise every reasonable precaution to prevent the frightening of the horse or other animal and ensure the safety and protection of the person driving, leading, riding upon the horse or other animal being in any vehicle drawn. There's no specific number that I can find. Great question. Now I got to go look into it more because I'm curious. Is there somewhere a number? What is this? Is it a criminal charge to have a single beer while driving if under the limits? While driving? Yeah, it's against the law. Oh, criminal charge? No, open alcohol is not a criminal charge. It's a not criminal code. That doesn't mean it's not the most ridiculous thing. Why would you do it? Don't do it. Okay. Oh. Bruno wants to know, are you guys allowed to drive and text? Yes, us guys being police, fire, ambulance, those operating police vehicles can, in fact, utilize their handheld communication devices. That includes two-way radios, laptops, telephones, and in some cases, we don't have computers in the device, but I have two phones. Why? Because one's a police phone and one's a personal phone, and that police phone could be our dispatch interaction. We can get calls sent there instead of using a computer because some vehicles don't have computers. Not everything gets the big fancy screen. So yeah, and Bruno says, so many times I see cops driving and texting, which happens. We'd like to keep it to a minimum. We know that it's not as safe as using other forms of communication or simply not using it at all. But sadly, sometimes we have to. We are emergency response. We are communicating with information that is sensitive and not always possible to put over the air. We are communicating on bands that tend to be very busy. So sometimes we have to communicate either by telephone or even entering text in by way of the keyboard, which is now an on-screen thing. It's an iPhone. So we try and keep it to a minimum. We acknowledge it's less safe than focusing on the road. Sometimes it's unavoidable when it comes to public and officer safety. So, yeah, I can see it being frustrating. That whole, well, you have rules for us, but why don't you follow the rules? There's actually an exemption in law. So we're still following the rules, but we take risks and we're responsible for those risks when it comes to things like that. All right, more water required. Are y'all looking for a transcriptionist? I'm available. Wait. I lost that. Where'd you go? I don't know if we need a transcript. Where did it go? Hang on a second. Try to find your comment. Anyway, I don't know about that. I've not seen what's it called? I've not seen any posts for that. But we look all the time. Okay. Scrolling back, trying to find. See, what happens is sometimes we get this giant influx of comments, and then I don't know where they went. You disappeared. Okay. I did not intentionally avoid you. Anyway. Amanda says, so many drivers are in their own little world, very dangerous. I'm always scanning everything. You've got to be. You're not at red alert, but you've got to be cautious and actively paying attention to the road. Otherwise, you're going to be the victim of something because other people are in their own little world, like you said. What do we got here? What is the difference between RCMP and municipal officers? RCMP is a federal police service. In some areas, they act as provincial or even municipal policing duties because that's what happens. Some areas don't have their own police at all. Whereas big cities like Toronto, they pay for their own policing. And actually, everyone pays for their own policing, but they don't have enough to support their own service, so they contract it to other services, like the RCMP. All right. Okay, I think we caught up what I was looking for. Is there a law against super loud muffler exhaust systems? I mean, gunshot loud isn't enforced. Yes, there are laws for unnecessary noise and improper mufflers, and yes, it is enforced. Patriot Rebel says that's why someone crosses onto your property and you pop them, you stand your ground. We do not have stand your ground laws here in Canada. You're not allowed to use firearms for that purpose. Okay. Can we speak about the severe weather? What is this? Oh, speaking about slowing down in severe weather, the posted speed is for optimal driving. You're absolutely right, Trevor. We would charge you for potentially careless driving if you're driving even at the speed limit in a terrible down, snowstorm or rainstorm. If visibility isn't there and you're driving the speed limit for optimal driving conditions, yeah, you're putting lives at risk by doing the speed limit when you have no visibility. So yeah, I would 100% support that, and we talk about it all the time. Who is it? Hang on a second. What's Jersey Club spamming for? Here we go. Oh. We'll just mute them. Thanks, Amanda, for bringing it to my attention. Mobius decibel. So Josh says there's a legal decibel limit for how loud and too loud can cause hearing damage. Yes, it can take a negative impact to the community. Beyond that, in the city of Toronto, we have bylaws. Aside from unnecessary noise, we can get a bylaw for 92 decibels at idle or anything 96 decibels at anything other than idle. It's a $500 fine. So there's that. What is the tint regulation? Well, for the purposes of certification, 30% light blockage is the maximum. It means 70% of the light has to get through. But the truth is, police can charge you for obscuring the interior of your motor vehicle for anything. Like if we can't see inside, it's not legal. Can't use reflective tint. You can't use colored tint that prevents us from seeing inside. And likewise, if we look into your vehicle and see that your view is obscured, driver view obscured is another charge. Can get real expensive real fast. And if it's over 30%, we'll take your plates. Your vehicle is going to have to get certified again. M-Dog says, when I was in Toronto, there was an old man doing a scratch ticket on his steering wheel. Not distracted driving, could be careless driving, but obviously not the safest option. I Hate September says, I don't respect car modification laws. I do literally whatever I want with my car. Good for you. And we will inspect your vehicle, hopefully, and then take it off the road. And you can go get it certified again. And then you can repeat that action. It's going to get expensive. That's usually what happens. And you waste time. And eventually we start escalating. We actually start putting summons to courts instead of just tickets. And then you can go explain to a justice of the peace why you don't understand what the law is or care to follow it. Just saying. Josh says, don't come to Alberta. You'll lose the car. They are strict here. Yeah, they really are. I'd like for us all to be the same level of strictness. I think that's a good way to be. Do I have to use the bike lanes in Toronto? Because I normally don't. If you're a cyclist and you're capable of driving and keeping up with traffic and you feel safe, you're not obligated to use the bike lanes. They're there for your safety, but you're not obligated to use them. And there are times when you have to get out of them, like when you want to turn into another intersection. You need to go to the turning lane. So, yeah. But you can't, if you're going to be out of the turning lane, you do have to stay to the right of the lane unless you're maintaining the flow of traffic. Ethan says, you'd be so easy to run from. Would I? How do you know? Is it because I'm injured? Because I was in a crash and I have a disability? Maybe now. But I can tell you that at 6'5" and 300 pounds, I run real quick, or at least used to. So, yeah, maybe I wouldn't be the guy that you run from, or you get really shocked when you got tackled by me. But anyway, let's see here. Curtis, If your passenger doesn't have a license, would that ticket even matter to them? If you're talking about passenger not driving with a seatbelt, that doesn't. They're going to get issued a driver's license number, even though it's not affiliated with an actual permit to drive. But yeah, they're going to have a ticket. And whether they pay it is up to them, and what happens afterwards, I don't know. Whoa, wait a minute. Wait a minute. What about all the bright lights? High beams. High beams that are on and not lowered as they're supposed to be. There's a charge for that. The Gold Slayer wants to know about the correct way to transport a pistol to and from the range, please. I would hope you know this if you're a licensed firearm owner and user who transports their firearm to a club legally. Obviously, it needs to be in a locked case with a trigger lock separate from ammunition, and that needs to be locked in the back. You know, if you're talking about a restricted, if you're talking pistol, so it's a restricted weapon. But you should know what the rules are, and you can brush up on it because you took a course on all this stuff. What is this? Can you explain the new snowplow laws surrounding passing in Ontario? So you can't pass a snowplow that is working, when they're working together in echelon, 2 or more. You can't pass them if they are in any portion of that lane, any portion of the plow, blade, whatever. You can't pass them. That's really it. Ethan says, dirt bikes on the road? No, not legal in Toronto, not legal anywhere in Ontario. Can't have dirt bikes on the road. You can have ATVs if in certain areas, but not dirt bikes. Do we just ask questions here? You just did. Chain Drive says, nothing faster. That's funny. That's very funny. How would you know if you're under the limit of alcohol if I had 2 drinks in a time frame of 2 hours? You don't know whether what you rank. You might be able to process alcohol differently, but you're taking a risk. There are devices you can buy, but you can't guarantee their accuracy, and they are capable of giving you an idea or estimate as to what you are at. Breathalyzer devices, there's even ones made by the same company that we use here, but you can't bank on that being okay. It's not a defense in court. Well, I blew into this machine that may or may not be working properly. That's a problem. So the best thing to do is not drink and drive at all. No drugs, no alcohol. And of course, if you mix alcohol and drugs together, bad stuff. Hey, there's the best thing from Amanda. If you don't know, best not to drive. Okay. Not sure which law we changed. Looking for some cues. Why do cops usually park illegally? We're usually trying to get somewhere real quick to help someone who's in need. We also have to keep in close proximity to our vehicles because while we're into something that may no longer be urgent and requiring us, we could be called away for an urgent response, which means we have to get back to our vehicle as quickly as possible to now go to an emergency. So there's always a reason to be close to our vehicle, and sometimes that means we have to break parking laws, and we're allowed to do that. Won't be able to register a used motorcycle for a month. How's that going to work? Why won't you be able to register a used motorcycle for another month? Just go register it. Why is there a delay? Does TPS offer a cadet program? No, but we have a special constable program, which is not the same thing, but is sort of a good stepping stone. So it's not, but it's not a cadet program like Peel and other services have, where you actually are a paid employee for a period of time and then have an eligibility to apply for police constable, which is either really good or really bad. Because if you're a cadet and you screw up, you have a great documented screw up. If you get hired as a police officer and screw up, they've already hired you. You're not hurting your chances of being hired. Are police reports created separate from collision reports after a collision? See, I changed that. Collision report and the accident report is under one heading. The collision report is part of the report. Plates are being copied now more than ever. What can we do to protect ourselves? Copy plates, you can't. I mean, there's people photocopy. We've stopped people with paper plates. We stop them, we charge them. If you're getting bills for things you didn't do, this is a time to report your plates, possibly, or call police and tell them that you've got weird things happening and that you believe that there's something going on. Ethan says, what the Russian police did is how it should be here. That's some pretty intense stuff they did, didn't they? Okay. Moving farther, let's see. Okay. Scrolling through. I think we're coming to the end. I went really late. Hey, my wife says it's 11:30. Actually, that was 13 minutes ago, which she's reminding me that the show is over. Drog says, guys just yapping. Is that me or somebody else? My job is, part of my job is yapping. Let's see here. Astral says, hi, officer. Hi, Astral. Okay. Looking for a good question before we get into dad jokes. Blam, blam. He had my question up and he skipped it. Blam, blam. I don't know what your question was. But if I skipped it, it was probably because I skipped it. I don't know what your question was, but if I skipped it, it was for a good reason. What is the punishment for those who change the lamp in the front of their car with an annoying lamp? Well, you're only allowed to have white or yellow. What kind of lamp are we talking about? Like a disco ball? $110 if you have a light that does not qualify if it qualifies as improper. What is... Yeah, I don't see Blam Blam's question. Maybe it got filtered out. We do have filters for certain words. Can't use certain words. It's a TikTok thing. Safe, and environment for all. But I don't know, because I'm seeing your statement saying that we didn't answer, and he says it's okay. I'll ask a officer on the road or a division. I'll scroll back, but I don't see it. So, Brown Canadian Hipster says, as of the pandemic, driving on the 401 has been a nightmare. As long as police isn't around, people pass and cut us off the entire way, even with lights and sirens on. What? We have a policy on how fast we can drive. This is something you want to report. Where do the lights and sirens come into play? Anyway, driving, people have become far worse and far less respectful of laws since the pandemic has been my personal observation. Hailstorm wants to know how to protect their car from being stolen. Lots of advice. We talked about it several times in the show already. We're at an hour and 45 minutes of me yapping nonstop. So, you have to go back and watch it again. Because you're on TikTok. Go to our YouTube page, youtube.TrafficCop.ca. You can rewind and play it again. But I'm not going to, sadly, I'm not going to go into it again because we're trying to wrap up. Alex says, 6'5", 300, you should have been picked for football. There was no football. I wrestled in high school, but I didn't play football because we didn't have football teams anymore. They said it was too dangerous. Is it illegal to drive in the passing lane? Well, passing is driving, isn't it? If you are a slower moving vehicle, stay to the right. It's for safety. Never mind what the law says. Just do the right thing. Stay to the right if you're not actively passing, and then the roads are going to be safer because of it. But I do the speed limit, and I do it in the right lane, and those dum-dums who are passing me 30 kilometers over the speed limit are in the left. And guess what? My pals on the road doing enforcement see them coming a mile away and give them tickets. I love it. Okay. What is the maximum speed you can travel in the passing lane? The marked maximum for the road. If it's a 100-kilometer-an-hour road, the passing lane allows you to do exactly 100 kilometers. Doing 101 is speeding, which is illegal. And the fact that people completely ignore the speed limits just means they're really bad drivers who don't care about safety. And I'm talking to everyone who speeds. Okay. Are there medical tint exemptions in Ontario? No, there are not. Are there any rules on headlight bulbs, LED headlight bulbs in particular? Yeah, they can't be over a maximum brightness. They have to be directed properly. That's a big problem. A lot of people are buying cheap stuff off of Amazon, and those tend to run into problems. If you have a factory system, it's probably fine, but the ones that you're buying aftermarket could really end up being a problem. Not to mention that they have a high fail rate. Okay. Josh sharing a fun fact that is absolutely correct. Headlights can actually be adjusted downwards. You can manually do it. Yes, and you need to, because improperly directed headlights are against the law. What do we got here? Is there a reason why a vehicle can go 20 over the speed limit? Why wouldn't Canada require limiters? I've talked about this. The technology is there, and I think we'll see a total stoppage put to speeding when autonomous vehicles become mainstay. But that's not where we're at right now. I'd love to see geo-fenced speed limits enforced where cars can no longer drive above a posted speed limit. I'd love to see that. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'd love to see it. Why do restaurants serve alcohol if you shouldn't drink and drive? Well, you shouldn't drink and drive. And just because you are at a restaurant doesn't mean you're driving. Maybe you should have to pass a test. Like, Jake says, I'm a police officer. My sergeant recently told me I cannot reduce speeding tickets roadside. Thoughts? I don't know what the policies are where you are and what jurisdiction you're in, but I don't have to charge anybody for speeding if I don't want to. So not being able to reduce them roadside seems pretty silly to me. Now, that said, as I actually stopped or reduced the amount of times I would reduce a speeding ticket. Like if somebody was doing 20 over, I would likely reduce it to 15 to save them the points, even though it doesn't change their insurance rating. It just, if it was under the 20 or at the 20, I might reduce it to 15. Anything over that, they got the full pop, period. And I still saw them in court. It drove me crazy. So I don't have a problem. I don't think anyone can tell you cannot reduce it, but at the same time, I don't see the motivation to reduce it, because they're still going to clog the courts. Oh, I misread or they mistyped. Paramedic, not pandemic. So people aren't getting out of your bus. Interesting. That's too funny. I misread it. I'm assuming I misread it, but everyone's catching it. Got it. Why is the Toronto PD on TikTok live? Well, it's pretty simple, because I'm talking to you. I am here to educate, talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff, and I'm answering questions of the public because they have questions. And we have lots of people watching. So obviously they want us to be here. And it's much more economic to create a lasting message, because these are all recorded and available as podcasts later. So these interactions are all here for all to see and hear and refer to. Yeah, we're here to help people. That's the answer. How far past the stop line is enough to trigger a red light camera? I assume if you cross the line with any portion of your vehicle, I would assume that would be it. I don't actually know. Boy, everyone caught the paramedic, not pandemic. Well, I see what I want to see. Let's see here. Talked about this. Dano says, hi, Sean. Hey, Dano. Okay. All right, I think we're actually up to date. Is the TV show Cops realistic on the way they operate? Cops? Well, Cops, which isn't on the air anymore, may have been somewhat realistic for the areas that they were in. I don't know. Those are usually small town USA on Cops. So, but they obviously clipped portions of calls, not the entire call. What's my feeling on traffic calming architecture? I think anything that slows people down is good. And that's what we're a Vision Zero city. We're all about it. They're changing the way that we have intersections and so on. It's good. We do the education, we do the enforcement, but cities and engineers change the architecture and designs of roads specifically for that reason. I think it's great. How can someone receive an impeding traffic ticket on the highway if they're going the speed limit? If they're impeding traffic. If you're doing 60 for unnecessary slow driving, that's an absolutely proper ticket, but not like you're doing 60 in the passing lane for no reason. You should definitely get that ticket. You're doing 60 in any lane on a 100-kilometer-an-hour road, unless there's a reason, a legitimate reason, like gravel, ice, snow, weather. Otherwise, 60 is too slow, in my opinion. And I would articulate that if I was taking it to court. All right. I got to go check out this video that everyone's saying I'm tagged in. I don't know. I'll have to check it out. I'm not familiar with the channel. I'm not sure what that acronym is. Dre Studios, what's going on, my friend? Long time no see. All right. We are going into dad jokes. What's blue and smells like red paint? Blue paint. Okay. Quote of the day. The primary function of justice is to ensure that no one harms his neighbor unless he has himself been unjustly attacked. That's Cicero. Things I would have never have looked up today. Jordan says, why did the thief wear blue gloves? He didn't want to be caught red-handed. It's not bad. And that's all the dad jokes. I thought we might have had more. We did not. Listen, it's been a slice. I got to go. It's something we do generally every day. Yes, we go and spend time answering traffic and police questions, general police questions, recruiting questions, talking about stuff and things. And I've had a slice doing it. And I've gone a lot longer than I thought of. I thought maybe we'd hit 11:30, but we've done nearly 2 hours. I did start a few minutes late, so it's all good. Listen, have a great day. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll do this again for less time, I think. But I will be off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and we'll be back Tuesday. So we'll see you when we see you. If you're going to drive, drive sober. If you're going to park legally, but be safe. And everything you do, try and be safe. All right, take care.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt, save your life indeed. And watch your driving, don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail and not get free. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
I just looked up the ALK vlogs. I don't follow them, but at the same time, I must have tapped follow when watching their stuff, and they did make a big thing of it. And it's an old video. They really went, it's 13 hours ago, but I don't follow them. So weird. Maybe he spoofed me. Anyway, have a great day, everybody. Where's my mouse? There's my mouse.